It has been a while since we've heard something from the Finnish virtuosos and the unique entity that they bring to rock and metal. Apocalyptica's previous full album was back in 2015, so roughly 5 years later, we get Cello, or Cell Zero if you're a smart aleck. I can't stress enough that in a world filled with generic butt rock and similar sounding metalcore bands, something like Apocalyptica is refreshing. Apocalyptica have been around for over 20 years, just recently having an anniversary tour with Apocalyptica Plays Metallica. 2019 had great music come out of it, but something like this is always welcome to add some variety. With Cello, it's a return to form with the instrumental work, and it's meant to provoke a person's own intellectual thought. Toponen said in an interview with Forbes, "With instrumental work, we want to give guidance to the listener, and we want to give a platform for them to think by themselves, and not to tell them what to think." One big difference for Cello from previous albums is that this is the first completely instrumental album in 17 years. While Apocalyptica has had amazing collaborations with big-name vocalists, I do feel that this is a group who are capable of standing on their own without needing someone at the microphone. They have the talent and drive to create something engaging without lyrics. Across 9 tracks, most of which span longer than 5 minutes, you are given a lot of music to take in, and a striking atmosphere is set. That's what you should expect overall in a full instrumental album under the traditional rock or metal umbrella. It's hard to explain through description, but once you hear sequences of it, you understand. It may not seem like 9 tracks is a lot to dive into, but when you sit down with this album from beginning to end, it is a massive undertaking to try and soak it all in. The opening track is the 6.5-minute Ashes of the Modern World. If you want to know what style and progression you can hear through Cello, this is it. It's a dramatic build-up in volume with sweeping unison through the cellos while the drums get hammered, all peacefully coming to a close at the end. It's gorgeous. After that is the near 10-minute title track, and this might be another monumental career feature for Apocalyptica. You hear much more than just cellos in this track, but it's what the members of the band are able to create with furious delivery that everything in a 10-minute span feels important. Your pulse is raised, and you are lost in a world of thought while listening. Rise follows with a touch of breathing room where the rhythm and softer percussion helps you get a grip. It's peaceful, and it's more proof that Apocalyptica should have been asked to create soundtracks for movies and TV shows long ago. And the first 3 tracks of Cello, you get a world of thematic variety and mood setting. When 2015's release Shadowmaker came out, there was a strong edge due to having a consistent vocalist for the album. In 2020, Apocalyptica reminded me why they never needed one to create impactful music. The first third of the album has many cinematic elements, and that feeling is felt through a majority of this album. The final 2 tracks, Catharsis and Beyond the Stars, have a sensational tracking and wrap everything up phenomenally. Catharsis has the higher note strings carrying the high points of the track, and this song, along with the entire album, has masterful drum work from Mikko Siren. His work behind the kid is as crucial to the music as the cello work is. In 5 minutes, there is such a good build that everything flies by almost instantly. Beyond the Stars is an example of Baroque energy that Apocalyptica is advertised as having, and this song is an amazing closing track where so much happens. The lower tone in the second half and everything that happens here is this ending sequence that really wraps everything up, and it feels like it came straight from a post-apocalyptic scene. Toponen said in that interview that the listener can feel free to experience the same song in very, very different ways. One of the best things about Cello is that multiple replays of this album are warranted. You experience different thoughts and catch something new in the music every time you listen. En Route to Mayhem and Call My Name feed off each other. They feel like the preparation for a battle and the actual battle itself. En Route to Mayhem is where the music gets frantic and the inclusion of metal can be heard easily. The production of all the instruments throughout the album is just the right amount of leveling in the mix as well. If you have a surround sound set up at home, then try these 2 tracks and create a Lord of the Rings battle soundtrack right in your house. It feels like there are some reoccurring sequences in Cello, and sometimes the progression does feel a bit repetitive. A song like Fire and Ice has many elements and fast movements that were previously featured in the album, but there's so much to take in that it feels like it belongs anyway. You can't help but appreciate what you are hearing. I'm not going to sell Apocalyptica's latest album as a front-to-back masterpiece or the greatest thing that they've ever created. It's difficult to really compare everything the band has worked on against itself as well, but as a standalone album, and one that does not rely on lyrics or vocals, it stands out in rock and metal. Overall, Cello excels as an instrumental and classical giant that revels in creating an aggressive and furious scene. This is the exact palate cleanser that many rock and metal fans could use when looking for something different. There are tracks on the album that people can come back to for years, and if you have ever enjoyed any song from Apocalyptica before, regardless of who the band was working with at the time, then you will enjoy this world that Apocalyptica has created in 2020. Big thanks to my patrons and a special thanks to Brandon Barenfeld. You too can help have a say in what videos I post on Rocked by supporting the channel on Patreon. $2 a month goes a long way, and you can have a say in voting on albums, videos, and seeing such videos early. More info in the YouTube card and description below. Please subscribe. You can check out my concert photography on Instagram, and you can keep up to date with Rocked on Facebook and Twitter.